I would like to welcome Satvik Prabhu. He is currently working in HNA in indirect tax domain. Satvik, are you with us?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Satvik.
Yeah, am I clearly audible?
Yes, you are. Can the audience also let us know with a thumbs up if he is clearly audible and if I am also clearly audible?
You both are clearly
Yeah.
audible. Varun, you can just lower down your camera so that we can see you clearly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So the first question would be like why you chose IDT? Like was it something that you wanted to do since beginning?
Okay. So before this, let me give some disclaimers. So IDT does not just include GST, it also includes customs and foreign trade policy. Although whatever I am telling here, it's my opinion. Different people can have different perspectives. And again, my perspective could be different. You might be confused listening to people from different domains. You might be feeling every domain is interesting. But ultimately, decide with what your gut says. Suno sabki, karo khud ki. Okay, how many of you think GST is boring? Can I get a quick raise of hand? Okay, only one. Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for being honest. And
You
if
are
I ask
happy. So
you, if I ask the host how many questions you got related to GST, I think you might have got very less questions.
yeah,
And that's
very
exactly
few.
why I want all of you to consider GST as a domain. I remember this Robert Frost poem which goes, two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I chose the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So, my friends, the thing is, most of the people apply for Big Fours, and they're absorbed by audit domain, internal audit, and the select few who are left out, they get into mid-sized firms where they might get some exposure to indirect tax, which is not so much. They do not get an expertise in indirect tax. So clearly, the supply is less, the competition is less, but unlike other niche domains, like unlike indirect tax or unlike unlike mergers and acquisition or unlike valuations, the demand is not restricted. The demand is not limited because every business whose turnover crosses a certain limit requires help with GST. So clearly, there is so much demand but very less supply. Coming to my own story, even I thought GST was a very boring domain, and the reason I got into a GST specialization firm was because my father is having a CA practice. And I come from a place in Karnataka, from the coastal area of Karnataka, where we don't have a lot of GST litigation practitioners. So every time GST litigation case comes to us, all the CA firms send those cases to a particular CA firm, and that CA firm handles it. So imagine one CA firm handling multiple litigation cases. In one case, you can save a client with demand up to 100 crore. And for saving demand up to 100 crore, you can at least charge 2 to 3 lakhs, right? So that is the potential that is there with tax litigation. Now, you might ask me, Satvik, why not income tax litigation? Talking about income tax litigation, let me tell you that income tax law is a settled law. Although the new direct tax code has come, it is basically the old wine in a new bottle. But when it comes to GST, although it has concepts from the earlier laws like service tax, VAT, it is an entirely a new law in itself with a lot of new concepts. So the interpretations of GST law have not been tested by the courts, and that is why there's a lot of potential for you to interpret a sentence in multiple ways and help your clients save taxes and ultimately come out of the GST demand. So right now I'm into GST consulting, and although I found the GST subject as a boring subject during my intermediate preparation, now I'm enjoying my work a lot. Every day I get to um, think, apply my mind, and I'm getting a variety of exposure to different fields. That is what I would like to say why I choose indirect tax.
Yeah. Can you also let us know like through a practical example what your work looks like on a daily basis?
Okay. It's very difficult for me to give a practical example given the time slot that I have. But if anyone is interested, we can connect sometime later and over LinkedIn or something, and we can actually discuss what a practical case would look like. To give you an example, when you, let's say, this is an example, which is an oversimplified example. Let's say when you are importing a car, if you import the car as a whole, the rate of customs duty is different. The rate of GST is different. And if you are importing it part wise, the rate of GST and customs is different. And it also depends on what level of assembly you're importing. So for example, let's say you're importing a product ABC and it has three parts, A, B and C. So for if you're importing ABC as a whole, the rate of BCD, the rate of GST is different. If you're importing A, the rate of GST is different. Let's say GST is 18%, BCD is 28%. But you're importing B, then the rate of GST is 28%, but BCD is 18%, vice versa. So, and again, if you are importing at different levels of assembly, there are exemption notifications available from which you can claim exemptions. Now, you need to assess multiple things. You need to see whether the client is eligible for exemption for that level of assembly of import, and what is the optimal way of importing so that his cost is reduced. I'm sure most of things are going over the head, and as I said, I need more time to explain what I actually do. But
We will need to
let me
go
talk
through
about
CA minor customs also to understand these things.
yeah. So let me talk about a list of services which you can provide to your client. First thing is you can give monthly return filing, you can do yearly return filing, and this is what every CA firm does. Most CA firms do. But what you can do beyond this is you can review the returns that are filed by your clients. And let's say the returns filed by your clients are incorrect, and the department may issue a notice to you. And as I discussed earlier, notices are sometimes for 100 crores or more, and for so many businesses, it adds a question to their continuity. So that is when you step in and you help the client reply to the department, and you help the client strengthen what they have already done, supporting it with multiple cases as to why the client should be right, and then you can save a lot of money to your client. Now there are some other clients, like for example big clients, who want to be compliant, not because they are served a notice by the department, but they feel if the department issues a notice they might land into trouble. So these people want to stay out of litigation, because if you get a notice for 1 year, this notice can go on for every year. So every big client wants to be compliant. So when you meet such clients, these clients want to be compliant and they do not want to err in any way. So they want to be right when it comes to different provisions of the GST law. That is when they come to you and ask, is the HSN I am using correct? Is the service classification I am doing correct? Is there, how can I improve my ITC eligibility? How can I reduce my output liability? Multiple times there will be transactions. For example, there are multiple group entities and transactions within these group entities, and you can help these group entities structure their transactions in such a way that their output liability is reduced and their input tax credit claim is increased. Other than that, you can help clients vet their agreements in such a way that the clients can take exemptions, in such a way that the clients can ultimately reduce their tax liability. And this is something which involves a lot of brains, because you're interpreting law in such a way that your client can be benefited. And the same law will be interpreted in a different way by the department to put your client into trouble. So you need to give practical insights to your clients as to what is the best way. Other than that, many times when clients pay more GST, or they claim, or they have reversed more ITC, they can claim the refund of it. But to claim the refund, they need to go through a set of procedures. They need to apply for refund multiple times. They need to interact with the offices. That is when you can help as well. Now, of late, GST tribunal is getting formed within a year, and CAs are allowed to represent their clients in the tribunal. So you can also go and represent your clients in the tribunal, and that will add lot of value addition. Lastly, when you consult your clients, you also need to make sure that the clients have implemented what you have consulted. So that is when you also can help your clients with GST audits or GST reviews. These are similar to statutory audits, but from a GST perspective, going in depth in GST and giving a complete health checkup. Other than that, when other than that, sometimes when clients are served with a notice by the department, you can do a GST audit before the department does, so that the client knows what are the areas it has to work on, and it can cement those areas before the department can look at it. So these are the multiple services which you can do. And as you can see, the number of people have reduced. And that is because most people find it boring. Trust me, it's not so boring. The supply is less, and all of you are just listening. You might have a golden opportunity if you consider indirect tax.
And I feel you have shared valuable insights to understand how indirect tax domain works. The next question I would like to ask you is ki, how did you apply for this vacancy in HNA, and like what were the type of questions that were asked in the interview?
Yeah, when we talk about answering to an interview question, I think it depends on the interviewer. Any interviewer can ask you any question. So it's very important that you are updated with the basic GST concepts like time of supply, value of supply, place of supply. And if you are strong with that, the only thing that you need to have otherwise is confidence. And if you have that, you can ace any
The
interview.
next question, like you are part of the speakers forum of Sikasa, and also I think you are a federated chess player, right?
Yeah.
So like I wanted to ask, how do you manage all these things together with the CA articleship, CA studies, and like what is your opinion on participating in?
Again, to give you an example, Bangalore has around 40,000 students, and out of which only 400 students to 1,000 students attend the events. That is equal to 1% of them. So again, do what everyone else does not do, and that is when you can get an edge over the others. Firstly, we all don't have a college experience. So it is increasingly important for us to get into events so that we build our soft skills and make us on par with chartered accountancy students.
One second. Article, can you mute yourself? One second, I will try to. Uh, You may continue, Satul.
Yeah. So also, not just your soft skills, your network is your net worth. And if you build your network while you're in your articleship, it will go long miles. So, for example, I got an opportunity to present myself in this interview and talk about the indirect tax domain because I met Srishti in the recent NTS regionals in Chennai. Other than that, I've got multiple opportunities because of people I've met at different places. I also presented in two conferences recently, and because of that, I was allowed to be a vice president of the Sikasa Speakers Forum Bengaluru. So I think these places help you in so many ways, and even connection with one single person can change your entire life. So be open to meeting new people because even one person can change your life.
Definitely. Like we have
Coming to
been also
studies,
participating. Yes, yeah. Please continue.
yeah, coming to studies, don't ignore it. But this is not like intermediate where you have 8 months. You have like 3 years at your disposal. So make sure that you're studying for 2 hours at least, right from the very beginning. You can very easily cover your syllabus, and you can very easily participate in all these activities, keeping aside your laziness, and that will help you a lot.